guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay, guys, you came back. Good to see you. Anyway, it is still Wednesday, January 23rd, and it's 8:43 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to get right into the second part of the Q-related news. So, without further ado, let's go. Now, with everything we discussed in the last video, you're going to find this strange. Pretty sure you're going to find this strange. This is dated January 23rd, 2019, which is today, right? And it is a letter from Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House. However, look at these different signatures by Nancy Pelosi, and then look at the one she signed today. Now, if there was an attempt on the president's life and it was intercepted and it did involve Nancy Pelosi and she's been caught, then is it conceivable that she may not have signed her name to this letter? Where is she now? I don't know. I'm not trying to intimate anything but this is odd because look at her different signatures here. Look at the N. Let me see if I can make this any bigger. It's going to be a little more blurry, but maybe you'll have a hope of seeing it, you guys, on your phones. Look at this N here. That's the way she always signs, with a normal N. But look at here, the one from today. Look at where the N would be. Looks like a U to me. That does not look like the way she signs her name. Now, the rest of her name looks okay. She's got a break in the L there. I don't see that on her other signatures, but, well, there's variation. Yeah, because look at the S is all the same. It's kind of like an upside down triangle or a triangle laying on its side. That's how she makes her S's. And then look at this one. Doesn't look the same at all. Here, all the I's are dotted directly above the I. There's a dot, but here it's between the S and the I. See, people who write their name all the time, like a politician, don't generally think about it. They just sign. And so there aren't huge variations in their signature. There just aren't. I know when I look at, like, anybody that knows me can look at my signature and know if it's mine or not, because it's very messy. It's very distinctive. And same thing with Donald Trump. You look at his signature, that would be a hard signature to fake. But anyway, if you look at all of these, this one, I mean, even the P looks fatter here. The E does not, see down here, it all has a loop. Doesn't have a loop here. So this does not look like she signed this. If she did sign it, maybe she was in a different, I don't know if she has multiple personalities, but I know people that do. When they sign, signatures can differ widely. So I don't know. Is she an MK Ultra victim, which I would suspect she is to some degree. I don't know. What do you guys think? I would be delighted if I knew what you guys thought about this, because this is freaking me out a little bit, I'll have to say. Because I'll tell you right there, that's not her signature. So who signed it? And why? Why are they trying to make us believe that she signed this when she didn't? Don't believe it. I don't believe it for a minute. So, I don't know. But let's move on from that. But please do tell me what you think. Tell me how you feel about this. Even if you think, well, you know what, I think you're making something out of nothing, that's ridiculous, I can take it. All right, now let's move down to the next thing. Cat Turd, one of my favorite people on Twitter, and hasn't been on Twitter that long, but has amassed a huge following. Anyway, Cat Turd, fact of the day. Thanks to Nancy Pelosi, this will be the most watched State of the Union address in history. Yeah. Yeah, I bet you they didn't count on that. But there you go. And Toby, nope, not a bot, a nationalist, says this. Just want to make sure I understand this. 9-month-old fetus able to be destroyed up until birth in New York, but if we don't let illegals in unchecked, we are immoral. New York City is a sanctuary city for illegals, but not for babies that are able to live outside the womb. Yeah, that's a little hard to understand how someone could kill a child that has all their fingers, all their toes, looks exactly like a human being at that point, and is able to live and breathe outside the womb on its own, but it's not immoral to kill that. They call that a blob of tissue. No, that, my friend, is a baby. But they call it a blob of tissue, but we are immoral for suggesting that we'd like to build a wall, not to keep people out, but to keep illegals out. We're not trying to keep everybody out, just illegals. If you want to come to the United States legally, you're welcome to. That's immoral, though. Putting the wall up is immoral. Killing a baby when it's just about to be given birth to is apparently okay in New York. All right, I'll move on from that. Now, this is something else I wanted to just touch on because it's happening today. And it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Now, this from Lindsey Graham. By standing with the people of Venezuela, President Trump stands for freedom. Strong American leadership is indispensable in moments like this. History will record that the Trump administration was on the side of the people yearning to be free, not with their oppressor. Now, what has happened is, and it says that Vice President Mike Pence, today, POTUS announced the U.S. officially recognizes Juan Guaido as the interim president of Venezuela. And he says, the American people stand with you and will continue to stand with you. Well, who is this Juan Guaido? Not sure if that is correct pronunciation of his last name. However, he was the leader of the opposition. He is he is the legal president of Venezuela, but the current president is not stepping down. And word is that I had just moments ago, actually, is they are firing on people in the crowds and people are running. They have said, that they want the diplomats and everyone out of the country. But of course, Trump is standing with the with the person that not with the oppressor, with the other guy that is wanting to bring in change, not with the socialist, not with the communist, but with the guy that is wanting to bring in change. And so I did want you guys to be aware that that's going on. Things are deteriorating very rapidly in Venezuela, which makes me wonder about people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and why she is so pro-socialism. Perhaps she should spend a little bit of time down in Venezuela and ask people where their pets went to and where all the songbirds went and why there are no squirrels and no, people eat whatever they have to eat, be it street animals or rats or mice or what have you, to survive. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. That is what socialism has brought to that country. So I think it would be really advisable. I would pitch in to send her down for a week, 2 weeks, to talk to the locals and see how they feel about socialism, seeing as they've been living under it, and what a wonderful time they've had underneath socialism. That's maybe what we should do. I'm just saying. I think it would be a wonderful idea, since she thinks it's such a wonderful thing, socialism. All right. So here we go. And I didn't realize this either. So I must have missed a little bit of news last week. But this, according to the GOP, we had a bill last week that Chuck Schumer blocked, and we discussed a little bit about this in the last video, that Chuck Schumer blocked to pay our Coast Guard. They are defending the freedom of this country. They need to be paid. Our border security needs to get paid. We need to open this government. We need to secure our borders, and that from Senator Rick Scott. So did you realize that last week that there was a bill that would open the way for the Coast Guard to get paid, but Chucky boy, Chuckles the Clown, he shut it down. So he thinks that, no, they don't need to be paid. It's okay. Why on earth would somebody shut down that? Like, there's no possible reason except for politics. There's no good reason. Unbelievable. And yet, so believable. All right, now let's hear what Trump has to say about the State of the Union, shall we? It'll be good as always. Love to hear Trump speak. All right, well, let's go here. Let's read what this says first. Trump is the boss. After setting the record straight on Pelosi's block of his State of the Union address, he promises us an alternative event. Oh, we love alternative events. Absolutely we do. All right.
And the Democrats don't want to stop people. That means automatically massive amounts of crime. And we're not going to put up with it. So Nancy Pelosi, knowing these facts and knowing it's something that she can't win, that she just went out and said, let's cancel for the first time in the history of our country, let's cancel the State of the Union address. And it's a disgrace. Just so you know, she uses on the basis of the shutdown, but when she asked me to make the address, formally in writing, most of you have a copy of the letter, when she asked me to make the address, she did it during the shutdown, well into the shutdown, by a couple of weeks. So the shutdown was going on. Now she's blaming the shutdown. So if it was because of the shutdown, why do you ask that the address be made? And she asked that the address be made during the shutdown. And now she's blaming the shutdown. She also knew, because she went to our people and she asked, would it be a security problem? She knew it wasn't a security problem. She blamed security, but she knew it wasn't a security problem. And she knew that loud and clear. And she went to the people she asked. They said, we have no problem whatsoever. I just got back from Iraq. I was very safe in Iraq, and I felt very safe. We had great security. If we can handle Iraq, we can handle the middle of Washington in a very spectacular building and a beautiful room that we should be in, and that's where it's been for a very long time. So it's a sad thing for our country. We'll do something in the alternative. We'll be talking to you about that at a later date.
So there you go. He's still going to hold the State of the Union address, and that's his constitutional right. She can't keep him from that. She can't. There's absolutely nothing she can do. But he just has to change venues. So that's what he'll do. And it will be glorious and wonderful. And he'll talk about the wall that we all need and that we all agree that we need. And that's exactly what Nancy Pelosi is wanting to stop him from doing, because he makes perfect sense. Anybody with an ounce of brain matter can see that this is what's needed now. So Pelosi doesn't want him in front of the cameras, because he does a whole lot better in front of the cameras than she does. Nobody can even figure out what she's saying half the time. But anyway, and half the time she thinks that President Trump is President Bush. So anyway, all right, let's get back to our news, shall we? All righty. And this could be us, really, because Europe is having a horrible time. And this, new cases of child rape revealed in Finland. Presidents say asylum seekers brought evil with them. Well, why would that be? Well, because they believe that they're to conquer lands with their penis. Now, I know that sounds really crude, but it's the truth. They do believe that. They believe that they are to rape the infidel. To rape them. It doesn't matter if they're a child. It doesn't matter if they're a teenager. It doesn't matter if they're a married woman. It doesn't matter if you're a female. They are, and you're not you don't follow Islamic law, or you're not a Muslim. They have to assault you according to the Quran. They are to rape the infidel. And when they rape, of course, that spreads the seed, because a certain proportion of those will always get pregnant, and that is how they conquer lands. And when they are married, they have a lot of children. They conquer by their penis. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. And think about it. They move in, they Rape goes sky high. Then when they marry, they have huge families. And, sooner or later, it just, there's more of them than there is anybody else. And the population just keeps going up until, any other race or nationality is in, a minority, and then they can bully them and get them out or kill them. So that's what's happening. And Finland is finding the same thing. A number of cases of rape and abuse of children with foreign perpetrators have been revealed in Oulu, in parts of northern part of Finland since autumn. Police are investigating another 4 cases with girls under the age of 15, where 3 perpetrators of foreign background have been arrested, suspected of rape and serious sexual abuse of children. In all cases, the suspect have backgrounds as refugee or asylum seekers. And we hear this all across Europe. I saw one newspaper article about, it was called a train of horror. And I thought, what is this? So I started reading the article, and it had these pictures just stretching like forever. And then a row of them stretching this way and stretching that way. And they were all victims of refugee crime, all of them. So this is happening throughout all of Europe. And if we think it's just the Mexican and Central Americans that are coming across the border, our southern border, we are sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. So, and eventually we're going to have to do something with the northern border too. That's just the way it is, because I see what's happening around me here, and it's really frightening, really frightening. There's no vetting of these people. Some of these people are former ISIS fighters, but Trudeau says, well, I think we need to give them a chance. Well, why don't we give their victims a chance? Oh, that's right, we can't, because their heads were cut off. Anyway, I'm not going to read through all that, but let's go. This was odd too. This came out of the Sun in the UK, and odd. On this flight, it was a Dubai bound plane, and everyone came down sick. Jet plague alert. Dubai bound plane makes emergency landing over cabin poisoning fears as passengers say they are suffocating and turning green. Now, I haven't heard anything more about this. And when was this? This was a couple days ago, I believe. 19th of January. And it just reminded me of the 2 reports, remember, we had of people getting sick on a plane. I think one was in LaGuardia rather, and someplace else, but 2 places in the United States on both sides, both coasts. And people just got really sick, and then you didn't hear anything about it. They were going to be quarantined, and then we heard they're not quarantined. They're out. Amongst everybody. So I always wondered at that time if something had been released, and then I saw this about another plane having strange things happening in the cabin and fears that they've been poisoned. And I wonder, what's this about? Now, I'm not going to read through all this because it doesn't solve anything anyway. Nobody really knows. And I haven't heard anything more about it. But what do you guys think about that? Seem a little bit odd? It seems odd to me. It does. Now, yeah, it could be an error. It could be, I don't know what would cause poisonous gas to enter a cabin of a plane. It doesn't seem like an accident to me, but hey, I've been wrong before. Probably be wrong again at some point in my life. Maybe today. If not, then certainly tomorrow. All right. Let's go back, and what is this? Oh, yes, we're going to enjoy this. Absolutely. If I can get it to open. Please open. I have to talk nice to it sometimes. Sometimes I have to give it treats. Anyway, okay, here is this from Breitbart. Maxine Waters. Yeah, we haven't heard from her in a while. Trump's impeachment is inevitable. Well, she's not giving that up. She's like, talk about a one-track mind. Impeach 45. Impeach 45. She doesn't even say 45. 45. Impeach 45. Impeach him. No, it's impeach 45. Impeach 45. Okay, I'm finished now. Sunday on MSNBC's AM Joy, Representative Maxine Waters, the impeachment of President Donald Trump was inevitable. Discussing the special counsel disputing a BuzzFeed report which claimed Trump instructed his former lawyer to lie to Congress, Waters said, "I think when we take a look at what Mueller says, he did not say it is an absolute lie. It is absolutely not true. The way he framed it, he made it sound as if there's some other like there's some problems with the way BuzzFeed did it, but it was not he did not close out the possibility of what BuzzFeed is saying has a lot of truth to it." She can't even talk. So we have to wait until it unfolds. Yeah, basically we have to wait until there's another story that we can pin on him, is what she's saying, or we make up something. Anyway, she added, "I'm pleased that the people are having the courage to say the word impeachment. I've talked about it for a long time. I think it's inevitable. Everything that I have seen about this president, whether it was what I have seen with collusion or obstruction of justice," okay, first of all, there was no collusion, and second of all, there was no obstruction of justice. But she's going to keep throwing that out there because she thinks that if she spits it out enough time, it's going to stick one of these times. It won't. It's going to stick to her and, Anyway, I have talked about it for a long time. I think it's inevitable. Everything I've seen about this president, whether it was what I've seen with collusion or obstruction of justice or with his lies or with so many things he has done, he's such an awful man, bad man, orange man, bad. Yeah, and with certain things, he qualifies for impeachment. Well, what is that? What is that, Maxine? What are those things that qualify him for impeachment, since you're such an expert? Why don't you tell us? Because they didn't find any collusion, didn't find any obstruction of justice. The P dossier, that was all false. The Steele dossier, that was false. What is it exactly that he did? Yeah, I didn't think you knew. Anyway, so there you go. If it takes him longer, so what she's saying is, we're just going to keep investigating till we find a way to impeach 45. Somebody should tell Maxine Waters that if she keeps doing this, that her face is going to stick that way. Too late. All right. If it takes him longer, and if they are waiting on Mueller to give them permission, okay, that's fine. The fact the matter is, that's not, the fact the matter is, this president should be impeached. Okay, well, if you say so. All right. She's like one of those crazy relatives you have where they just say stuff and you go, okay, yeah, sure, okay. And then you walk away politely and get them something to eat or drink or something. You can take them back to them and just kind of give them a hug and, and they'll be spouting something off and you'll be going, yeah, I know, okay. That's what it reminds me of. Seriously. Like the kind of relative that would wear their bra on the outside of their clothes. Yes, I had one of those, really. So, yeah, and they say stuff and you just go, yeah, okay. Well, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. It's like, okay, Maxine. All right, sit down. You're hurting yourself. All right, let's go back. No, really, let's. Okay, what's this? Okay, I'm not going to show this because it's pretty horrific. It's the video of you probably heard this on the news, the graphic death toll of, there was a pipeline and gas, and they were trying to steal gas from the pipeline, and they broke into it. Never a good idea, but apparently this goes on. And there was a massive explosion. There's static electricity. It was dry. It was cold. It was static electricity on clothes, and it set off a spark. Huge explosion. And this is something that was taken live. And when I watched it, I didn't realize what I was watching until I realized what I was watching, and it was pretty horrific because there's people running and screaming and burning to death, and then you just see them drop and there's no more. So I'm not going to play that. I don't want to give that type of thing. It's really stayed in my mind, and to tell you the truth, I really thought about, so many people will say things like, I hope they burn in hell. I hope no one ever burns in hell. Hell was not made for human beings. I mean, There are human beings that will be sent to hell, and I know that not all of you believe, and that is fine. You don't have to believe as I do, but it is what I believe, and I would never wish anybody there. I wish for them to, do the right thing and not have to go there. So there you go. Anyway, I'm not going to play that. And this, I think, is the death toll rises in the Mexico fuel theft explosion. Again, I'm not sure if that's playing on that, but I'm not going to get into that because the stuff that's out there, if you want to see it, it's out there. But what I saw really left an impression on me, and I just those were human beings being burnt to death. And okay, whether they were doing something right or wrong doesn't matter. They're human beings, and they were in horrific agony until they died, and it's awful. It's awful. All right, let's go on from that. Trying to get that out of my head. Okay. Pope Francis knew his protege took nude selfies, abused seminarians, but promoted him to top Vatican post. So this is something pretty, ooh, he looks really evil there. Wow. I wouldn't trust that man to go to the store for me. I'm sorry. I know that there are Catholics who believe that, he is the voice of God on earth. I don't believe that. I don't want to insult any Catholics, but I just have no faith in him as a person. I have faith, lots of faith, not in him. Argentina, the Vatican received information in 2015 and 2017 that an Argentine bishop close to Pope Francis had taken naked selfies, exhibited obscene behavior, and had been accused of misconduct with seminarians. His former vicar general told the Associated Press, undermining Vatican claims that allegations of sexual abuse were only made a few months ago. Francis accepted Bishop Gustavo Zanchetta's resignation in August 2017 after priests in the remote northern Argentine diocese of Oran complained about his authoritarian rule, and a former vicar, seminary rector, and another prelate provided reports to the Vatican alleging abuse of power, inappropriate behavior, and sexual harassment of adult seminarians, and the former vicar, the Reverend Juan Jose Manzano. The scandal over Zanchetta, 54, is the latest to implicate Francis, as he and the Catholic hierarchy as a whole face an unprecedented crisis of confidence over their mishandling of cases of clergy sexual abuse of minors and misconduct with adults. Francis has summoned church leaders to a summit next month to chart the course forward for the universal church, but his own actions in the individual cases are increasingly in the spotlight. The Pope's decision to allow Zanchetta to resign quietly and then promote him to the number 2 position in one of Vatican's most sensitive offices has raised questions again about whether Francis turned a blind eye to misconduct of his allies and dismissed allegations against them as ideological attacks. Manzano, Oran's vicar general under Zanchetta, who is now parish priest, said he was one of the diocesan officials who raised the alarm about his boss in 2015 and sent the digital selfies to the Vatican. In the interview with AP in the pews of his Saint, I don't know how to pronounce that, in Oran, Manzano said that he was one of the 3 current and former diocesan officials who made a second complaint to the Vatican's embassy in Buenos Aires in May or June of 2017, when the situation was much more serious, not because there had been a question about sexual abuses, but because the diocese was increasingly heading into the abyss. In 2015, we just sent a digital report with selfie photos of the previous bishop in obscene or out of place behavior that seemed inappropriate and dangerous, he told AP in a follow-up email. It was an alarm that we made to see the Holy See via some friendly bishops. The nunciature didn't intervene, whatever that, I've not run into that word before, didn't intervene directly, but the Holy Father summoned Zanchetta, and he justified himself, saying that his cell phone had been hacked and that there were people who were out to damage the image of the Pope. Francis had named Zanchetta to Oran, a humble city of some 1,650 kilometers, or 1,025 miles northwest of Buenos Aires in Salta province, in 2013 in one of his first Argentine bishop appointments as pope. He knew Zanchetta well. Zanchetta had been the executive undersecretary of the Argentine Bishops' Conference, which the former Cardinal George Mario Bergoglio headed for 2 successive terms from 2005 to 2011, and by all indications, they were close. Manzano said oh, this is giving my mouth a workout. Manzano said Bergoglio had Zanchetta's confessor and treated him as a spiritual son, all of which could explain why Francis named him to Oran, despite complaints about alleged abuses of power when Zanchetta was in charge of economic affairs in his home diocese of Quilmes, which is in the ecclesial province of Buenos Aires, which Bergoglio headed. Anyway, I'm not going to go on and read all this, except that the Pope knew. He knew. And he promoted him anyway. Yeah, the scandal, which was first reported by the Tribune newspaper of Salta, has taken its toll in Oran, a deeply conservative community near the Bolivian border. I feel a great pain because as a Christian, how can we let these things take place? Added pensioner Hector Jimenez, teacher whatever, said the Vatican should have treated Zanchetta like any normal person who did something and not hide him, take him away to somewhere else so he can keep doing the same thing. That seems to happen a lot in the Catholic abuses. They seem to, what happens is the person, the priest will, or higher up, will, resign, and then they're spirited off to another part or another country or whatever just to carry on as normal, and that's been going on for centuries, and it's about time something is done about that. I don't understand that, how someone can claim to be a man of God but let that sort of thing go on. Anyway, let's go back and see what else we can get. Now that is the same thing that we just looked at. So here, Lindsay Fiffield, Phillips Wake. Okay, this is about the Covenant Catholic School boys, and Nathan Phillips, who said he was a veteran of Vietnam, and he's never been to Vietnam. Yeah, kind of like Cindy Blumenthal. Yeah, like him. Anyway, this person said, Phillips walked up and tried to provoke teenagers, failed, and posted a clip, edited to make it look like they were mocking him, then went on national television to openly lie about it and call them racist. Will those same programs air the other video and ask him why he lied? Well, naturally not. They don't care. Mainstream media doesn't care about whether they lie or not. That's what they do. That's how they make their living. And this from President Trump, and he was thanking David Wall, who said, journalism is dead. The circus clowns who ran with the fake BuzzFeed story today are nothing more than hatchet men for the DNC. As always, Trump was proven right. And Trump responded to David Wall and said, thank you, David. And this I thought was very funny. From Lionel, the only thing flat earthers fear is sphere itself. Now, I am going to steal that. I don't care. I'm going to steal that. I love it. The only thing flat earthers fear is sphere itself. Yeah. And Bill Mitchell, talking about the Covenant Catholic School boys, turns out the American Indian, who was supposedly surrounded and taunted by the high school kids in MAGA hats, was nothing of the sort. They did not approach him. He approached them and barged into the middle of their group, then accused them of surrounding him. A lie. We're seeing a lot of that lately. And this from Praying Medic, I thought this was very interesting. A DOJ report shows that 1.3% of federal prisoners who used a gun during a crime bought it from a retail store. 0.8% bought it at a gun show. So, they all say that, well, if the guns weren't made available, then we wouldn't have any crime. Well, yes, we would, because only 1.3% of federal prisoners who are in prison because they used a gun during their crime, only 1.3 of them bought them legally. 1.3. And 0.8% bought it at a gun show. So where did the other 98, whatever, get them from? Well, that's the question, right? That's the question that we have to ask these people that keep saying, well, if there weren't no guns, there wouldn't be no crime now, would there? Well, yeah, as it turns out, yeah, there is. We don't have guns in Canada. We have lots of gun crime. Where do they get the guns? Well, we do have guns for hunting and so forth, but there's, it's not easy to just go get a gun here. And you can't say, oh, I need a gun for protection. No, that's not a valid reason. If you're a hunter, you can get a gun if you abide by all their criteria for owning one, and if you keep it locked up at all times unless you are actually using it, and but we still have gun crime. Those aren't legal guns. No handguns in Canada, supposedly. Handguns aren't allowed in Canada, supposedly. Where are they getting them all? We should have no crime. But we do. All right. Now, have I missed anything? Well, maybe. What is this right here? Well, let's go look. All right, let's. Or maybe not. No, we're going. Here we go. Oh, yes. This is the weirdest thing. And it's just one of those things. It's not really news. It's just weird. This bucket has been in the window of the White House for several days now. It's a bucket. Nobody knows why it's there. But I would imagine that it's the White House. I mean, this place is cleaned and double cleaned and triple cleaned and quadruple cleaned every day. And why would this bucket be in the window? Why would it escape somebody's attention? Wouldn't somebody look up and go, hey, I got to make a note. Tell somebody to do something with that bucket. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't have any theories. I'm just saying it's a little odd. There's a bucket in the window. Dear President, dear President. Okay, never mind. Anyway, let's go back. Let's see if we've missed anything else. Did we miss this? No, we didn't. We talked about Chuck Charles. Chucky. And I think we've covered it. Wow. I must have talked fast because we've covered it all. Anyway, we've covered what I have, and there's plenty more out there, but which I'll get on to. That's what I'll do next. I'll get out there and I'll look for news for tomorrow, and I'll be back. No, really, I will. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. And it might, because it is raining like crazy here. We're supposed to get freezing rain. We've had an ice storm. We've had a snowstorm. We've had minus 30-some degree weather here for the last few days. And today it warmed up to 1 degree above zero. Yay for 1 degree above zero. I love it. It's heading the right way. I won't be happy until summer comes, but anyway. So I will be back tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great night. Sleep well, stay safe, stay blessed, and I will speak to you real soon. At least I hope. Talk to you later.